Aaron Prosper, from your perspective, you're very active as a university student in trying to bring about some change. What do you think are some other tools to expand the exposure to, good, cool ideas that work?
Let me think. To me, I think partnership with higher learning, partnership with universities, very important. This is, higher learning, from my perspective at Dalhousie, this is where we have the time to think of these issues. We have the time to go through them and look at statistics and research. Where I notice in secondary learning, there's not that time. There's not that element of time. It's almost a rush. So those key partnerships, also partnerships with other community groups. So like People for Education. In my Indigenous perspective, partnerships with Indigenous communities, very important, very vital. Have those chiefs, have those Indigenous representatives on your board, have that voice there to get these ideas out. From my perspective, at Dalhousie, we have not had a sitting Indigenous person on our Senate or our Board of Governors until this year. Myself on the Senate, this year on the Board of Governors, the director of Mi'kmaq and Abadnoe, Eleanor Bernard, basically, going to Dalhousie and saying these are the ideas. This is what we are looking at. But I wanted to expand and talk more, on my research and what I do. I study epigenetics or behavioral epigenetics, and a lot of the things that Dr. Jean talked about is what we look at in epigenetics. So the environment and how that controls gene expression. And so what epigenetics is, I'll use the analogy of a light and a dimmer switch, and pretend that the light is a gene. And genes are expressed a lot or very little, and the dimmer switch is kind of an example of how much a gene can be expressed and how little a gene can be expressed. And there's many, many, many genes in our brain. But what the research has shown is that a child's early childhood experience greatly affects that individual's gene expression, not only during the child's development, but later on in life. And so what we see in those who have committed suicide in postmortem brains is they have an altered gene expression in their brain, and that is corresponded with an adverse childhood experience in their childhood. And so the recommendation from my research is, in your schools, creating that environment, creating those connections with research, not only in education research, but in the basic sciences, with the medical schools, with a more holistic perspective in education. And the mental wellness continuum is that Dr. Jean showed looks at that. Actually, what came out of that framework was the mental wellness, native wellness assessment tool. It has a very particular function within Indigenous treatment centers for children suffering from addictions, but the tools actually measures hope, belonging, meaning, and purpose within a child, within a young individual coming into a treatment center. And what they've shown through specific treatments that they give to the individual, that child actually has a change in those four factors: hope, belonging, meaning, and purpose, and how that is expressed in the child. And then moving outside of treatment, they become more successful when those four factors are lifted. I'm getting off, but yes.
Thank you, Aaron.